I want to be fair. Stuart, are you willing to go without the other candidates? You could care less. Okay. All right, Stuart cares less. All righty, then we're going to begin. I give it over to Steve Mason.
Let's look at candidates already sitting on there.
Thank you.
For sure, he gets my vote.
All right, I'm just going to go over the format that we're going to follow this evening. When we start, each candidate will have 3 minutes for an opening statement, and I'll time to 3 minutes, and I'll let you know when you have 30 seconds left so you can close up your statement after each minute. Now you can introduce yourself to the membership with the name to the face, tell them what your goals are as a board member, so forth. After that, we'll be followed by a Q&A. Now we're giving 5 minutes for each candidate for Q&A session. So let's try to keep the questions simplified enough so we can stay on time, stay on target for the question and answer, so everybody will have their chance to get their questions in for each candidate. My understanding, we have 5 candidates, right, total?
Correct.
So there's 2 that are not here. I apologize, I don't have the list of names. Normally I'd announce the 2 candidates that are not here.
It's Terry, his last name is what? Clove.
Terry Clove
and Michael Schenkel.
and Michael Schenkel. Okay. All right, so they're not here. So we're going to go ahead and start with the opening statements. Usually I would do it by alphabetical order of last name.
Dan Coco was asked alphabetically first.
Okay, so we can start with Dan Coco. You just introduce yourself, and you will have 3 minutes after your name and introduction.
My name is Dan Coco. Most of you know me. I've been in the community for almost 20 years. I teach real estate courses. I teach the real estate courses, and many of the people in the community have taken my real estate courses. And I've probably convinced a lot of them to move into the village because I think it's a great place to live. I think that we know we're in a global crisis, and here at International Village, we're just a small microcosm of what's going on out there in the world. People are having real problems. Incomes are going down, expenses are going up, and it seems like the government out there feels that changes have to be made. So they're making some changes, and everybody agrees with the decisions they're making, and maybe I'm one of them, but some of those decisions seem to be a little ill-put, but changes have to be made. We just can't sit on this thing and just watch the way things are going right now. If I took this phone out to make a telephone call right now, some of you recognize this phone? You'd say I'd look like a caveman, wouldn't I? This phone's a little bit outdated. So a lot of us are trying to live under the same rules that we lived under when this phone was popular. And those rules aren't working anymore. People's their incomes are going way down, including my own. Expenses are going way up. They're having trouble affording their maintenance, assessments, and whatever. They're just having trouble making ends meet. And we have to be a little bit more compassionate with some of the people that are on the verge of losing their homes. And some of the stories I've heard, people have come to me, and the reason why I'm running for the board is people have come to me with real problems. One person wanted to make a maintenance payment, and they wouldn't let him. He was behind about $2,000, and he offered $700, and he said he could come up with so much in the next so many months, and then another so much, and they wouldn't take anything from him. And to me, that seemed a little bit strange that you wouldn't take money from somebody who wanted to pay it. There's been problems, and some of you know who I mean, but there have been similar problems. One man, his wife just came in from South America, and he come crying to me because she just come in with a passport. She's never been in the United States before in her life. And they want to charge him $125, and he's hardly making any money. He's barely making ends meet to get her approved. And so he was complaining and crying about it, so they settled for $50. I mean, I just don't understand that kind of mentality.
30 seconds.
Settling for $50. Why not settle for $25? But it just seems to me that we can be a little bit more compassionate with people that live here. We're kind of like a family, and we've got to work things out. My time's up?
Yeah, 15 seconds.
Okay. Forfeit to 15 seconds.
Thank you.
All right?
We'll save the questions, let the opening statements finish, and we'll come back to the Q&A.
does it work? No, I'm second.
Yes, okay.
I'm an M.
We'll,
In other words, all
we'll
the speakers-
finish the opening statements and then we'll go to the Q&A. Right, so this, you have a 3-minute opening statement.
My impression from your thing was that after the speaker speaks, then there's an opportunity to address the speaker.
Okay.
Okay, and then afterwards, there's an open forum.
We can do that, do that format as well, that's more than...
That's my understanding of the forum.
All right, let's open for Q&A for the first candidate. We're gonna start, please.
Oh, come on.
Dan, you gave an explanation.
Yeah, sorry,
By the
hold
way
on.
we work it, first you go around with your speech, then you go one candidate, second, third, for their 5 minutes. That's the way we've always done it.
Why don't we just keep it the same?
Bob, what do you think?
I don't know that it's the same way. I like to give you so that information facilitates that. These are the rules.
One candidate.
Bob.
It does not
Bob.
matter.
Well, I don't quite understand. If you don't do it individually for each person,
Yeah, we did it.
at the end, it's just going to be everything addressed, you know? So I think this is clear. Let me just read the instructions, okay? And then you can have your opinion. Each candidate will have 3 minutes for an opening statement. We've done that. Immediately followed by 5-minute question and answer. Okay, then there will be a period up to 20 minutes for question and answer for any and all candidates. So to me, it's clear that there's 3 minutes for an opening statement. Then you can address that person in case, or not, you don't have to, but you can address that person so that you can find out exactly where he stands. Okay, so that is the only thing that makes sense, and the only interpretation to me that makes sense. Okay?
Are the candidates okay with that format? Okay.
Okay.
All right, so then we'll do that. We'll go into the Q&A for 5 minutes after the opening statement. So the first question.
Okay, your synopsis was really good about what the world, the state of the world is, and changes that should be made, and you cited a situation with people that are having a problem. But the only way the problem can be resolved is, and it can be done without your intercedence of it, if that person would address the board in a letter saying, please accept these payments, then the board votes on it, and then they change the rules to whatever it is. I don't think there's a rule that says they can't make a partial payment. I don't believe there is. So I think that the board is or the management company is doing a disservice for us by imposing that regulation. And like I say, if it comes down to it, we have changed rules as a board to accommodate specific situations.
Okay,
And that's the way it should be.
I'm going to ask that if you want to make a statement, that's fine, but this is a question and answer. If you have a direct question for him, this is the time to ask a question to him about him being on the board. Hold on, she had her hand up.
Dan,
Yes,
I'd
sir.
like to ask you your feeling about the reserves and our amenities such as the gym, the swimming pool, the racquetball court, and generally this building.
What about it, Scott?
Are you for reserves or
Well,
not?
Sarah, I think that it's from my understanding that if we have reserves, it's going to put an unnecessary financial burden on people that are already making, they're taking pay cuts or losing their jobs, and I don't think they can handle reserves at this point.
No reserves?
I don't think they can. I think we'd have to sit down and discuss it and find out what it's going to cost the unit owners.
Then
They
I
may-
think we're condemned to the eternal problem of scurrying for money. I mean, I don't say, a lot of reserves, but some reserves, you gotta have some.
Well, they can make it feasible, they can make it economically feasible so that people can afford it and still keep their units.
Yes. And the amenities, the gym, how do you feel about amenities?
Well, I feel we need the amenities. I don't really use them that much, but I mean, you don't want to get rid of your amenities, you know?
Okay, next question, sir.
Dan, aren't you the same Dan Coco who served on the board of directors previously?
No, sir, that was a different person. That was my evil twin
Twin
brother.
brother?
My evil twin brother, yes.
Okay, he was an evil twin brother.
What's your question?
My question is, weren't you asked to resign from that board of directors?
No, I was not.
Yes, you are.
No, I wasn't. I resigned because I had other interests and I did not have the time to put into the board.
And
You
you
check
did
the
not.
records for that. Well,
Well,
Scott was president at the time.
Well,
I can't tell you
I'm
that.
asking you the question.
Well, I'm just telling you, you gave me the answer. You're not accepting my
There
answer.
were two questions that came up at that point that I absolutely remember. One was that you rented an apartment illegally to a lady who was overseas and whose apartment you were supposed to be watching. And the second question was, were you also accessing confidential condo records to be used in your real estate endeavors?
Absolutely not. It was not even, I sold very, very little real estate.
That's the question.
I sold very little
Okay,
real
there's
estate in
one
this
question.
entire place.
I'm sorry, she had her hand up first.
Yes, ma'am.
In reference to the South American person coming in here, the man who wanted to make his payments, that I'm all for that, of course, you know, who would it be? But somebody who's coming in initially and not even having enough money for the approval fee, how would you handle them in the future when they can't pay their bills, or if they
Well,
can't?
the man already
for
owns,
future assessments?
Ken, the man already owns the unit. This was his wife that was coming in.
Okay, but, well.
He already owns the unit. He's been living here for some time, and they wanted to, do a background
So
check on his
people
wife.
coming in 125 would be fine, but not for this person?
Well, then why did they settle for $50? It's either 125 or it's nothing. I mean, why say, well, just give us $50? It's like, we'll take it, we can
Yeah,
give
we
it.
got 30 seconds left.
You know,
Any other question over here?
Marissa?
Yes, as you're aware, it was confirmed by the property manager.
Marissa, you want to stand up, please?
And this will be the last question because we're out of time.
Save the best for last.
Yes, as you're aware, you confirmed you were the owner of between other apartments, E through M. It
No,
was-
I never.
Let me finish the
I never,
question.
no, you're
I
making
want
a
to
false
finish the
statement.
question.
I never
I
owned
want
that
to finish
unit.
the question, please.
She's
It was confirmed
making
by
a statement.
It was
She's making a
confirmed
statement.
by property management, Brian, and you also told me, and you have owned more than 2 units, and you also
Marissa, I
have
own
rented.
I own one unit in
Okay,
here.
I would like to finish the question.
Marissa, you're not.
You'd also have rented.
You are making a statement,
I want to
Marissa.
ask
You're
the
not asking a
question,
question.
please.
Ask the question.
And you also have rented many apartments illegally, disturbing other.
No, I haven't. Marissa, that's not a
Marissa,
question,
ask the
Marissa.
Okay,
That's a
because
slanderous-
of that.
That's a slanderous statement.
No, it's not.
Yes, it
It's
is.
confirmed. Because
Yes.
of all that,
Marissa,
how are
I
you
don't have a
planning,
question.
this is my question, how are you planning to follow the rules of the condo if you, in the past, confirmed by property management, has been demonstrated you have not, and you have caused problems, including coming and harassing me at 11:30 p.m.?
Number
Thank
one,
you.
Marissa, I only own one unit here. That's all I've ever owned for the last 10 years. I own one unit in here.
Does your daughter own this now?
My daughter did own another unit here for a while, but she doesn't anymore, all right? You've been harassing people for quite a while, Marissa, and the police, the Lauderdale Hill police are well familiar with your complaints. That's all I can say. And they don't even take them seriously anymore. They don't even take them
Okay.
seriously anymore.
We're going to go on to the next candidate, Mr. Mayor, Jerry Miller, who's currently on the board. Go ahead with your opening statement. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening. I was appointed to the board in September to serve the balance of Clive Bates's term. I'm now a candidate for the board of directors. I'm originally from Philadelphia, where I owned and operated a women's retail clothing store for 30 years. I retired to Florida in '99 when I bought my first condo in IV. I was a snowbird until this summer when I needed to remain close to my father here in Florida. I've kept abreast of the politics since coming to IV almost 10 years ago by attending board meetings during the season. Since Hurricane Wilma, I became more involved. In March '07, I initiated a town hall meeting to question the priorities of the $8 million assessment. 10 months later, I held another town hall meeting to question the firing of our property manager and the need for a new assessment. It became clear to me at both town hall meetings that the board had acted in bad faith regarding the assessment priorities and the firing, yet nothing was done to rectify those situations. Politics in most homeowners associations are difficult at best and can get nasty. Often honesty and objectivity are replaced by rumor and rancor. This election is no different. It has become a battle between the current minority members of the board and me. Mr. Samuels and Mr. Wolf don't care who you vote for as long as you don't vote for me. Why is that? According to them, I am incompetent, ignorant, uninformed, even stupid. I lie, I cheat, and I also need professional mental assistance. How about that? The truth of the matter is that I'm none of the above, or they wouldn't be so concerned about my being a member of the board. If I were, as they say, I'd be able to work with them very well. The fact that I draw the line against dishonesty, rumor, and chaos makes them unable to work with me. For example, I insist on video recording all meetings to ensure the accuracy of the information discussed. They have recently refused to attend.
30 seconds.
Pardon?
30 seconds.
They have recently refused to attend such meetings and are insisting on teleconferencing instead of attendance. Can you imagine Mr. Samuels and Mr. Wolf sitting in their condos across the way and participating in a meeting to circumvent the statutory right of owners to tape meetings? What are they afraid of? Shouldn't they be responsible for their words and their actions? In my opinion, anyone who is unwilling to speak on the record should not be on the board. Your decision in this election is clear. If you believe the fabrications of Mr. Samuels and company, then you should not vote for me, and you will have Mr. Samuels as your new president.
Okay. All right, at this time, we're going to open Q&A for Mr. Mayor. Please, I'm going to remind you, please refrain from statements. This is a question and answer. Please ask your direct questions so everybody gets an opportunity to ask their questions. Okay.
First, since I'm the most prominent one,
I am the principal purpose of his statement. He told the truth. I think all those things. I had justification for everything. But I'm going to ask him, I have a series of questions I'll start with the first one. And the first one is, we had an opportunity to elect someone else to be treasurer on September 7th when we had an organizational meeting, and you decided that you wanted to take it instead, in addition to your position as president. And when you signed your candidacy application to be on the board, you also signed a document that was required by the state of Florida, that you have read our condo docs, that you were familiar with them, that you read the state law, you were familiar with that. So here is my question. You claim you are qualified to be the treasurer. Okay, our fidelity bond insurance with the insurance company is $700,000. That means that we paid for $700,000 to cover the people who handle our money. KW Management now, today, has control of over $2 million of our cash funds. State law mandates that we must have fidelity bond insurance to cover the maximum funds in the custody of the association and the management company. If this money disappears, IV stands to lose $1,300,000. The question is, as treasurer, why have you permitted, since September 7th, for the village to have inadequate fidelity bond insurance?
Thank you, Mr. Samuels. I have not addressed that issue. I have been busy with a lot of other issues, most of which you have created. And that, whatever that issue is, has been long-standing and has not been at the top priority. But I think we have Arthur here. Arthur has been treasurer, president, and everything over the years, and possibly at some point you can speak to him and tell him what the problem is. Okay, but I'm not addressing that issue. If you feel that that's important, why didn't you address that issue in the, let's say, I got on in September, that's the 9th month of the year, in the 8 months that you were on the board and didn't address the issue, okay? So right now, it's not it's not an issue that...
You did not answer the question.
I didn't answer the question. I answered the question by saying...
I should have addressed it. You should have addressed it.
Do you have any other question? Do you have another question?
Wait, we had a hand up here first for the next question. Yes, go ahead.
Can I ask another question?
No. take your turn.
There's gonna be an open Q&A at the end. Let's get it there.
Jerry, I would just like to ask you what you think is the major area that the village as a whole needs improvement, and what you would do to attempt to bring that about, what you can bring to us to help achieve whatever that is.
What I think the village needs, very importantly, is what I refer to as transparency. That's really what we need. You know, we need to have perhaps a, what do you call, a website, so that immediately after we have board meetings, the information can be sent to everybody. We need to, issues that come up, and we have issues that come up all the time, we need input. I mean, we're 9 board members, but there's 832 units here, and we have some smart people that live in those units. I know I've found that to be true in my dealings before and even and now when I'm on the board. And I think that's what we need. We need transparency. There's too many closed up things. People don't want video. People don't want other people to know what's going on. I'm upset at our attorney all the time because he wants to have conferences that are not recorded, as so that we, after he says what he says, we don't know what he said. You know, and there's 10 different versions of it. I'm a strong believer in transparency. I'm a strong believer in honesty and integrity, and the only way that can be achieved is with good communication.
Okay, we had one last question for this segment. It was over here somewhere.
Yeah.
I believe it's, remember, let me remind everybody, when we're done with the introductory and the 5-minute questions, we're going to open it up to an open Q&A for everybody else. So if you didn't get your question in, you'll get your question in later. So we'll end the last question for the session.
Jerry, I have the same questions that I asked Dan. How do you feel about the reserves and work? Well, how do you feel about the reserves?
Yeah. I am a believer in saving. Okay, that's my success story. I worked hard for 30 years, and every year I saved and invested, and I was able to retire at 51 and have my savings work for me. So I believe in that, and I look at reserves as a savings. Let me answer your question. You got your hand up. You know, I'm not done answering your question. Okay? So I look at a reserve as a savings, and I look at an assessment as merely a delayed reserve. Okay? This last assessment that we had, which is an 11.5-year mortgage, is only because we didn't have a savings. In another word, a reserve. If we had a reserve, I always am quick to add an average of $50 a month on every owner here, average. Well, small apartments may be $25, the large apartments may be $65, but an average of $50 in reserve, a partial reserve, adds up to $500,000 a year. When I moved in here in '99, the hurricane was in 2005, 6 years later, we would have had $3 million, or part of $3 million, because we would have been using some of it. And we had zero, we had zip. So we had to go out and we had to go get $8 million. So I think it's foolish not to save, and that's how I look at a reserve.
Okay, at this time.
The other part of my question is how do you feel about the amenities, including the gym, swimming lessons?
Listen, I swim every day.
Physical plant.
Yeah.
In the racquetball.
Right. I think they're very important. I think they're very important. Let's say from a personal point of view, if you didn't have them here, I wouldn't be living here. Okay? These are wonderful, wonderful amenities, and you know, I feel a little badly. I use them all the time, and everybody here is supporting it for me, and I thank everybody. Okay, it's beautiful. This is a beautiful place, and it's just a pleasure to live here, and I think amenities are what makes this place special.
All right. At this time, our last candidate that's present is going to make her 3-minute opening statement, and we'll open up the Q&A for her.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Michelle Tresigny. I'm a resident of International Village village as of last spring and March. And I don't want to get too loud. I'm basically going to read off to you what I have that I printed out. I actually had it in English and Spanish, but at the very last day, I was told by Howard that it had to be only on one page, and I was unfortunately at work and I couldn't combine the two. So unfortunately, the Spanish didn't go out. My husband and Terry and I have lived here, and the moment we showed up to the Bordeaux and we first started developing it, it was not only a dream come true for us, but a place we wanted to call home for the rest of our lives. We were both very proud to be residents and members of International Village, and it is for this reason that I am running for the board. I am currently serving as assistant treasurer to the board. I am also a Florida notary, fully bonded and insured in the state of Florida. In addition, I have just had the pleasure of being part of the Bordeaux Interior Renovations Committee. I possess over 25 years in successful healthcare administration, and I hold a degree in business. I am fluent in all facets of sound business management and have extensive experience in development operations of multi-site budgets and in meeting multi-million-dollar revenue goals and budgetary control. My strengths lie in organizational development, effective communication, supervision and management of projects. I say it's not the greatest though. And outcomes, implementation, and goal achievement. I also have had the pleasure to revamp entire business structures so that the topmost objectives of management companies can be better accomplished. As a board member, I understand the scope of my responsibilities, and I will mention them shortly. And I pledge to serving the residents of International Village, always with the greater benefit of the whole uppermost in mind. I would ensure financial integrity and effective resource management, set high goals, ensure the creative and effective achievement, commit to the board's vision and mission, and exemplify and uphold its values, serve the interests of the board as a whole, maintain a working knowledge of the board's finances, operations, and goals, faithfully attend and prepare for board and committee meetings, fully and openly participate in board and committee deliberations, respect, listen, and learn from others, maintain independence and objectivity, advocate accordingly to conviction, strive toward consensus, respect, and represent majority decisions. My short-term goals are to improve upon the services our association provides, each of us at lower fees, repair all outstanding existing damage in our community, and seek and implement cost-cutting solutions. It is truly a time for a change. Elect me and I will serve and represent you to the very best of my capabilities.
Thank you. All right, quick Q&A for this candidate. Mr. Wolf.
Relax, Michelle, it's over. My question is this. You were elected as assistant treasurer about 3 months ago. In the last 3 months, you have a very strong background in finance. Has Mr. Miro or anyone else brought you into the office to teach you what our operation is, how we pay our bills, etc., etc.?
I've been asked to attend one meeting, and that was a budget meeting. I've offered my services on Tuesdays, evenings, and Saturdays.
Okay, thank you. That's what I thought.
Anybody else? Once. Yes, ma'am.
How do you feel? Thank you for running for the board and welcome. How do you feel about the reserve?
I feel there should be a reserve, a very small percent, maybe